Welcome back to Don's Life. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. Today's going to be another quick install, another DIY for the 2023 Corvette C8. We are going to replace this Z51 spoiler from the factory with this ducktail rear spoiler here in carbon flash. Let's go. So today's video is sponsored by Extreme Online Store. They're the ones that sent over this carbon flash metallic duckbill spoiler that I'm excited to install on the Corvette C8. Now this install might scare some people because we are going to unscrew more screws than you can possibly imagine so we can get the rear bumper off and so we can install this new ducktail spoiler. Now, one of the reasons that I chose to go with the Z51 spoiler that was on here is because now it has pre-drilled holes so we can mount up the new spoiler to the holes that are existing on it. So they send you all the hardware to do this. They even send some adhesive to allow you to stick it on. And I got a lot of plans for this car, which will also include more PPF and a wrap. So I may not use this adhesive that they supplied me with on this install because I'm probably gonna have to take it off again and put it back on. So I've got some other double-sided tape or some adhesive that I can use just in some key spots if I choose to, but we'll worry about that later when we get to the fitment phase. But for now, we got to take off this bumper and then get the old wing off. And my goal here is really to make it so it's less scary for you by seeing what it's like to do this by yourself in your garage. So let's take a closer look at the screw locations to be able to get this bumper off. So if you start up at the top here, you can easily see all of the mounting points in a nice long line. And then you're going to realize that there's more buried in here to sandwich these panels together. To get to those, you have to undo some screws here, pop these mud caps off, which I'll show you how to do, and then there'll be some screws there, and they continue all the way underneath in a similar line to that pattern. Once you get all those off, we should be able to lift the bumper up a little bit, pull it out, undo some wiring harnesses, and then we'll have access to the wing. Now I'm going to use a T15 Torx bit to get all of these top screws off of here, and then we'll work at the screws behind the wheels and underneath. Now we're going to use the jack to lift up the car a little bit, just so we have a little more room to work with in the back area behind the wheel here, because we have a couple screws to undo. Then we have a couple screws in here and a nut that we have to undo that's sitting up in that area. So once we can pull the liner back, I'll show you where that is. That's a little bit difficult to film, but I'll do my best. Well, we have both sides disconnected. We have the top, we still have the bottom left, but just to know that we have this undone, you can pull it out a little bit and you can see it's released. So good to go so far. All right, we're down here under the car. We want to take the whole bumper off, not just the diffuser, so you want to get all of the bolts that are up in this area here. I believe they're 7mm. So yeah, we have a whole bunch of these to go, and then we should be able to pull the bumper off. Also, you'll notice there are some push plugs that you will need to take off as well, so we'll get to those first. You can actually reach and get them from the other side too if you don't have the same tools as me, but that's pretty easy. While everything should be disconnected, we should be able to just grab the spoiler right here, lift up and back. Yep, we got it. Now there's just some wiring harnesses to undo. Looks like we have 3 harnesses to disconnect. Should be able to pop these red locks out of the way and then push. Well, now it should be the easy part. We just have to take off the old spoiler and put on the new one. There is a bolt with a nut here, it's 10mm. There's another bolt down here, but it is hard to get at, so you probably have to use like a box wrench. These two are easy to get at, and then this side's the same as that side. I guess I better just get started. Now you can get at these without removing the tail light, but I'm not too sure when we go to put the new spoiler on if we'll need to move the tail light or not. But we'll figure it out when we get there. I just have to use a little bit of heat on this adhesive, a little pry tool here. Be careful not to scratch your paint. All right, we're almost ready to put the new one on. Instead of using this adhesive, which you could also use if you didn't have the pre-drilled holes like I do, I will eventually put this on when I'm gonna make it more permanent, but because I'm gonna have the bumper off again and the spoiler off again to do some PPF and a wrap, I am not going to stick these on yet. Instead, I'm going to just make sure that there is some adhesive around all of the holes so I don't get any water penetration into those areas. So I'm gonna mount it up that way. But they ship you these, so that's what they're for. If you decide to put it on, you don't want it to go anywhere. Now they do send you some mounting screws. They're a 6mm screw. I think they're a little bit on the short side. So I went and bought some 6mm hex bolts with some lock washers and flat washers. I believe these will have just the right length to make it work. If not, I can just add an extra washer. Now I do recommend removing the third brake light. It was super easy. 5 screws, 7mm, gives you a little more access. You could do the tail lights too. There's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can pull those out and set them to the side just to give you more access. But I think you guys know where we're going from here. So I don't want to give it all away. I'll do a bit of a time lapse, showing it all getting put back together, and then we'll do a reveal. Well, there we go. We replaced the Z51 spoiler. Thank you again to Extreme Online Store for making this project happen. There's even a version of this in a more aggressive form called the Performance Duckbill. Maybe check that one out, but it's a little bigger. But definitely go to their website, check it out. They have a lot of parts, not only for Corvettes, but a lot of other vehicles as well. I'll leave a link in the video description below. But if you like today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. We'll talk to you next time.